What is up, grown-ups? My name is Zach, and today we are going to go through some of the top rookie QB rankings and where they might end up in the NFL for fantasy purposes. Now, some of them you're going to want to stick around to see where they end up because it could make or break your 2021 fantasy season. Now, before getting into it, please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content and you want to see more of it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into our topic, okay? Okay, so first I'm going to give my rankings in order that I think the QBs will go in the draft. Then I'm going to give a ranking on how I think these QBs are actually going to finish in terms of fantasy based on the team that I believe they could go to. So to start off our list, we are talking the number one pick, the Jaguars. We're assuming they're just going to take Trevor Lawrence. This is a no-brainer, no surprise. The Jags are the number one overall pick. They need a QB. They have some cap space too to make some additional additions happen, I guess, this offseason. And Lawrence is a big-time QB. He has a good arm, he makes good decisions, and he showed really good passing ability while on the run too. In 2020, Trevor Lawrence had over 3,000 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, and that was with missing time due to COVID as well. Now, Lawrence is just a very well-rounded QB and has such a high floor that even in areas that other QBs might actually excel in and be better in, he still excels because of his high floor and ability to play well consistently. But like I said, I see the Jacksonville Jaguars wanting to take him with the first pick of the draft. They're just going to say, no more Gardner Minshew, let's move on. Next, let's go to our number 2, and that is going to be Zach Wilson. Wilson is a very close second to Trevor Lawrence. Now, Zach Wilson has an amazing ability to make ridiculous throws from extreme situations. With his big playability and his awareness, I could see someone like the Jets trying to swoop up Zach Wilson with the second pick and just going ahead and calling it quits with Sam Darnold. Next on the list, and next going in the draft, we have Justin Fields. Now, Fields, he's a dual threat on the ground and in the air, and he has some natural passing abilities as well. Now, sometimes he has some accuracy issues and pocket awareness problems, but I still think fantasy-wise, being in dual threat is what we are looking for, and a lot of NFL teams are looking for that dual threat now as well. With that being said, I could see the Atlanta Falcons wanting to side with him and either him sit behind Matt Ryan for a year, or maybe, who knows, they try and get rid of Matt Ryan in a trade, and he goes to a QB needy team, win now mode, and it gives the Falcons a little bit more pieces. Next up I have going is Trey Lance. Now, I'm not huge on him, and I do feel like we don't have a big enough sample size, but Lance played only one game in 2020 due to scheduling from COVID, and he had a blow-up 2019 season with 0 interceptions. I feel like a team will still try and take him early than other QBs, although they shouldn't really, in my opinion. I think it's a gamble. But what better team to make a gamble than the Detroit Lions? Now, they seem to be making improvements and rebuilding, so why not draft a 50-50 QB that could either take you to the next level or at the least maybe sit a year behind Jared Goff? Next on our list, we have Mac Jones from Alabama. Now, he is a good QB. He has good pocket awareness. He's able to make some pretty deep throws at times. He's got good accuracy, and he's able to spread the ball around the field. So what better team to go to than the New England Patriots? Now, I think the Patriots would be a great fit for him because similar to Alabama, where it's a great offensive scheme, the Patriots are the same way. They have a great coach in Bill Belichick. And honestly, I could see if Mac Jones went to the Patriots, I could see him starting right off the bat and winning that job immediately. Granted, he has the offseason program that he would need in order to do so and to get equipped to the NFL. Now, in terms of ranking these QBs for fantasy purposes, it's not all based on, which QB is going earliest in the draft. However, in this situation, it kind of is. I actually think that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson still stay on top of this list for fantasy purposes, just because I think that being on a not that great team, being the Jaguars and Jets, could actually help their fantasy value because they maybe have to come from behind a good bit, maybe pass a good bit. We saw it with the Bengals and Joe Burrow having to pass a great deal last season. These two QBs in the teams that they go to, if they went to the Jags and Jets, might have to pass it a good bit, might have to come from behind. Trevor Lawrence being on the Jags, if that does happen, could be a very good situation for him for fantasy purposes because he would have receivers such as Laviska Shenault and DJ Chark to pass to. Meanwhile, the Jaguars also have a pretty high cap space to where they could bring in some more additions to support and bring in that supporting cast around Trevor Lawrence. So I have Trevor Lawrence, then I have Zach Wilson, and they're both kind of in the same situation where they're very, very talented and they're possibly going to go to a team that's not that great, but has the potential to bring in some weapons and build around them. So I could see them in redraft leagues doing well to start this season. Next on the fantasy rankings list, I guess, I'm actually going to have Mac Jones. I actually think of these QBs, besides Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, Mac Jones has the next best opportunity to start if he went to the New England Patriots. I think he could win that starting job immediately. And like I said, this would be a great duo between Bill Belichick and I think Mac Jones, where not necessarily he would be like Tom Brady or anything, but he has a lot of the similar attributes that Tom Brady poses in terms of pocket awareness, in terms of his accuracy, being able to spread the ball around. Now, one thing I would like to see from the Patriots if they did draft Mac Jones would be to bring in a wide receiver who's actually relevant during this offseason. He would really need a supporting cast, especially if he were a rookie QB starting in the NFL. He would need some good receivers to back him up to be able to distribute the ball to. So that's something I would like to see. But if that were the case and they made a free agent signing for a receiver this offseason and then brought in Jones, that could definitely be a good translation over to fantasy. Next on our list, and this one actually has the potential to move up to the top of the list depending on the situation, we have Justin Fields. Now, Fields, he is the dual threat. So regardless, if he actually got starting time, he honestly could get to the very top of this list because we all know that the rushing ability of any player in particular boost your fantasy floor. Now, if he went to the Falcons like we are predicting in this video and just, a kind of opinion thrown out there is the chance that Matt Ryan does stay there and he sits behind Matt Ryan. So unfortunately, you can't really get fantasy points unless you start. But if the situation did arise where he actually went there and Matt Ryan was no more a Falcons player, then he really could have the opportunity to get the majority of fantasy points out of these QBs. Now, what I'm thinking though is that where he does go could be a Jalen Hurts type situation where he sits behind a QB, learns a little bit, and then maybe later in this first season in 2021, he could come in for some games and show he definitely has potential to be a starter. Next and last on our list is Lance. And unfortunately, I do not know. He's pretty boom or bust. So there's just a lot of QBs that probably aren't going to start this first year. And with Lance, I don't necessarily see him starting wherever he goes. I think a team who is going to invest in him might also say we need to kind of build him up to start just because of the limited sample size, possibly the not readiness for the NFL just yet. So unfortunately, I think he's on the last on the list because I do not necessarily see him being thrust into a starting role to start at all. And even if he did, I see a lot more bust on him than boom starting so quickly in the NFL. That's going to do it though for my QB rankings for the rookies in the 2020 season. Had a lot to say there, but let me know what you think. Let me know where you think these QBs are going to go. If one of these picks you thought was a pick that you'd be excited about, and if he did go to one of these teams, if you'd actually be willing to draft him in redraft or in dynasty leagues. Also in dynasty leagues, let me know where you are picking these QBs. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go grow up and get guffed.